Alright, so I'm just going to demonstrate something I've been working on, which I'm calling pfCentral. It's a pfSense central management application or software. It's a natural extension of something I wrote in the past, which is now doesn't exist. It's defunct, called MudMap, which had a lot of issues architecturally. And one of the big things that people wanted was to be able to self-host it, and that was not something that I could offer at that point. So this is a sort of fixing a whole bunch of issues that I left unaddressed before I closed down that. And it's just been, I've been noodling on this idea for ages, and I pick it up, I put it down, I pick it up, put it down, because there's just a few problems that I wanted to solve, and I just haven't been able to let go. So I think I've got a really workable performance solution that's it's just far superior to what MudMap could offer. So this is like the main dashboard right now. It's really basic. The UI, I'm not spending any time on the finesse of the UI at the moment. I don't care. I just want it to be basic, sort of tailwind looking thing. I'll improve that later. Like, the main thing is that everything works under the hood. The API calls to the machines work. The machines, the firewalls can reach out to my new intermediary, and then the server can connect to them, and that. So just a real basic intro to it. I have an agent. It is an agent-based topology. About lack of a better way of explaining it, is each pfSense firewall needs to have this agent running on it. Now, by doing it this way, we're installing an agent in conjunction with another piece of open source software called pfSense REST API. That's how we're doing the most of the work. We need to have this agent running, and it is making an outbound connection to over and into a system, which is a technology called NATS. It's a message broker, but it's so much more than that. It's like Kafka, RabbitMQ, sort of S3, Redis, all sort of had like a message queue little baby. It's really easy to get started. It's a Go binary. It's very small, lightweight to just start, but it can extend to all sorts of crazy topologies, from big to little. So we're using that as our connective tissue for this entire thing. And because we're making the connection from the agent to NATS, it's all outbound, which means we don't have to open anything up, because pfSense will let things out. Of course, you can add rules and all sorts of things, and that's up to you as the operator of the system. But previously, we were doing things like opening up the web configurator or the web page via SSH from the MudMap servers and all that. People didn't really like that, and I can understand that. So it's a completely different way of doing it. So the agent is installed. It actually comes with, and I don't have it. I'm not going to demonstrate it today. It's also pretty janky work in progress. But we have a PHP application or package that actually gets installed. And it looks very similar to the Tailscale one if you use that. And you can put in all sorts of configuration options for your self-hosted NATS. And it's just a configuration page at the moment, and it lets you start and stop the agent. So at the moment, the agent is running in my home lab here, and it's currently online. So I'm going to stop it briefly, and we should see, before I've even basically clicked stop, we're getting instant updates. And if I start it again, it's up online. So that was something that MudMap couldn't do. So this is it's using service and events under the hood, and a few really interesting and compelling technologies there. But it's very performant in that regard. Still lots of work to be done to make it even better. But here we've just got a really basic page. My virtualized machine doesn't have a temperature monitor, and the traffic's not done, but you're getting an idea, right? And we have some of this. It's emulating, I guess, to a degree, the pfSense user interface. So yeah, it's emulating the interface as best as it can. There's some things are done, some that aren't. Some interfaces, the services, there's some routing, and lots of these are all in various states of development. There's I won't go through all of these. Like, this doesn't have hardly anything running on it, but these, we're getting there with that. So that's the part that obviously I'm really working on. There's a link to the web UI if it's available. But the real core thing I want to talk about is the change in the architecture. So I'm going to come across to Excalibur. So, like I said, it's agent-based now, and we're only talking NATS, okay? So on the left-hand side here, we have these agents. We have, so they're all indicating one. They should be incremented, whatever. But we can group them, do sorts of things. That's a TBD, but I'm grouping them just to show that that will be supported in the future, and they are making outbound connections and connecting to NATS. So when I was talking about the PHP page, that when you install, it sets up, bootstraps the agent for you and does everything. It's just a Go binary that's running on there. So it's always running. Survive restarts or etc. It makes this connection, and there's lots of different NATS. There's all sorts of different authentication mechanisms, and we support all of those. So it make a connection to NATS. In this picture here, NATS showing that it can be clustered, right? You don't need it to be that. It can be just a single node, right? It's completely up to you. It could be clustered and have multiple gateways. It could have a leaf node. There's lots of things. I implore people to look at NATS. It's fabulous technology and enables so much stuff, and pfCentral being one. And then on the right side, we have the pfCentral server, which is what that web page that we saw. Now, it makes a connection to NATS as well. At no point does a server, a pfCentral server, ever make a direct connection to a client, a firewall, and vice versa. They do not know about each other. They only speak NATS, and NATS being its own protocol. Now, what pfCentral does do when it wants to, do a GET request, list, update something, create a new firewall, whatever, it talks over NATS using a thing called a request reply. If you think web apps sort of stuff, you make a GET request, you say I want something, and it gives you back the result. It's the same thing, but it just happens over NATS. So it's like almost like a remote procedure call, and that is the crux of basically everything and how we do it. We're mapping these macros, the microservices in the NATS conventions to REST endpoints on each device. So on each firewall, we have a REST API running only on localhost. And that can be authenticated as well, so that only certain users have the ability to do that. So, that can be token-based, JWT-based, that's up to you, right? But pfCentral, it makes the request via NATS over request reply. It goes down to the machine makes an API call on localhost, so it's very fast, returns the response and sends it back over NATS, and that's how we're achieving an outbound connection, but being able to interrogate the machine. So it's very, very flexible in that regard. And because NATS can be clustered, there's not really one single point of failure. If you're running one node, of course there is, but it gives you the ability to do lots of different things. So I think that's a really good intro to the pfCentral. In time, I'll probably make more videos with what we're up to here, but you can see, there are things, the basic services. Let's restart DNS. It's not, it could be better, it could be done better, but stop. It stopped. Restart. And if we were to look over NATS, you would see the messages happening very fast, and everything is being returned to the user interface over service and events through the user interface. Now, there will also be an API for this, so you can make an API key, get an API key and then make requests to the pfCentral server, and it will do basically the exact same thing that you're seeing in the user interface. And like I said, the plan is for this to all be completely self-hosted. I'm not trying to create a business out of this. It was just an itch that I needed to scratch. I really think that the pfSense central management problem is not solved. I don't think there is really good things out there. I don't think that Netgate's doing a great job on it. Probably not a moneymaker for them. People need to manage big fleets of these things, and it's a real pain to have to SSH in, or even if you wrap it in a tail scale network, and you can do all of that here. That's another good thing about NATS is that this can be completely offline, in the sense that as long as it's inside your network and your machines can talk to NATS, then you don't need an internet facing. There's no WAN needed here. All that the agent needs to have is connectivity to NATS, and then the server obviously needs to be able to talk to NATS as well. That could be completely over tail scale or Nebula, TwinGate, whatever those. There's all sorts of them now, but it gives you a lot of flexibility to self-host and to build out the system and the management, architecture that you need for your system. So hopefully that has given you a good rundown of what I've sort of been working on for a little bit, and I'll keep you updated.